Every once in a while we get a comeback. Here we have one. 6 months ago I fixed this car, now it's broke. That's kind of the story. So if you guys perhaps maybe remember, if you've been following us for a little while, this car came in. It was something that it was a collision car. The guy bought it, you know, put fenders and hood and stuff on it, fixed it up for like a grandbaby or something, and was pulling it in and out of a shop where he was working at it. Now this is, 5 or 6 months ago, and all of a sudden it just quit and wouldn't start. So ended up taking it to another shop or something. They did a bunch of, cutting into the wiring harness and things like that. Had some wires out here, and if I remember right, in the driver's side door threshold, I'd have to go back and watch that video. I'll link that video. But what we did at that point, because it was dragged in here, they had cut, remember they messed up something here in the fuse box. It was something along those lines. Anyhow, we took and put it all back together the way it was supposed to be, and then the car started and ran and drove fine. And it has been for almost 6 months. Well, now it just quit. And it's some kind of fuel delivery issue. I gave her a little sniff of the old Cosby sauce, and it fires right up and, runs until it, uses it all up, and then it quits. And it seems to run well, so it just, obviously the engine's in time and it has spark and, whatever it needs there to run. So it's going to be as simple as just a bad fuel pump. But this is the first time in almost 6 months that the car quit. So this is what we've been waiting for. So that's why I didn't invest a lot of time into it last time, other than fixing some of the hackery. Now, if I remember right, we had to get a little silly in the fuse box. We were a little concerned with that. I don't remember what all happened there. I'll probably have to watch the video. Hopefully that's not coming back to haunt us. But let's have a look and see what's going on with it. We know it's fuel delivery. The guy already has the back seat out of it, so I don't know a whole lot. I do think that he said he was considering putting a fuel pump in it, but didn't want to, waste the money if that's, what it didn't need. Anyhow, that's where I'm going to start. Being that the back seat's out of it, let's just look on a wire diagram and see what's what. We may not even have to. It maybe just be the two bigger wires back there. Let's go have a look first, I guess. Oh, he's got a fuel pump over there in a box even. All right, let's see. I see one bigger wire. Well, looks like he's been fiddling with this connector. Yeah. I don't know if the weather packs are pulled out of it or what, but I guess let me look at a diagram. Somebody's cut into this wire here. More fiddling, I guess. So it's the gray is the power wire. White black is supposed to be the ground. Let's see here. The wire that they cut into, not even the fuel pump wire, so I'm not sure what's going on there. See if we can't get this disconnected. There we go. Alright. I'm assuming it's the larger wires here. There's a big gray and a big white black, but somebody cut into the little gray wire. Hopefully they weren't putting power in that. They've cut it and soldered it back together. And then there's cut marks in all the other wires as well. And all the weather pack is pulled out of the connector. So, we're going to go with the big wires. White, black, and gray. And very gingerly front probe it. Let me crank the car over. It may start a little bit because there's a little bit of residual sauce still in the system. Well, that's your problem, lady, right there. So this probably has nothing to do with what was wrong with this car originally. We have good power and good ground. This takes about 4 amps to light that light, so plenty enough to make a pump spin. I want to make darn sure we're not just having a connection problem, being that somebody was back here fiddling. Let's just try it again. That's negative, Ghost Rider. So, in my opinion, it's either out of gas or it's got a bad fuel pump. But I don't hear the pump whizzing around back here, so I doubt it's out of gas. I think the son of a bee to get open. Yeah, so that's that. Easy. Alright. Hopefully he's got the right fuel pump. That'll make it even better. Got that out of there. Certified OEM quality and reliability. That's USMW Professional Series, US Motorworks brand. What a scam that is, huh? US Motorworks brand. Made in China. Oh gosh. Whatever. Alright, well, let's get after it. Comes with an O-ring and a couple of little clips there. Comes with a little round thing there. Well, that looks about as easy as they come. I'm a-thinking. Let me get you guys ready in here, old pop. We'll get her done. Looks like a 8mm and a screwdriver is all we need. And then that's it. Yeehaw! Well, hello. Oh, what else should we have done? Well, technically, we could have put a current clamp on it to see if it indeed is out of fuel. Because that would tell us right away if all of a sudden we could see the fuel pump a-whizzing around, but it wasn't drawing any current. Well, that's an odd little duck there, huh? There, ta-da, easy. Oh, it's got some gas in it. Smells like gas. That's the other thing we could have done, is make sure it's full of petrol. But we skipped all those steps. Hopefully it doesn't bite us. Can you imagine if American car manufacturers made it this easy to change fuel pumps? We almost could have done this in the parking lot. Except it's cold and dark out. Whoa, dude. Supposed to get the big one tonight. It's the big snowstorm. I didn't even get my frickin' snowplow out yet, so hopefully it doesn't happen. I can make sure it doesn't happen and take the time to get the snowplow out. That's guaranteed. I see fuel. I see. Oh yeah, she's full. Not to the top, but she's full. Oh yeah, full and clean. It smells like gasoline. Alright, what are we looking at? I'm just waiting for it to quit dripping. Come here. There's that. Yeehaw. Alright, let's get the new one. Let's get the O-ring. We gotta get this little ground here popped off. Come on, little fella. Get up there where you belong. That's up where it belongs. Give it a little stretcheroo here. 1, 2, stretcheroo. Bend that in a little bit. There we go. Oh, that would have been a mistake, huh? Take the old glove off it here. Look at this guy. I think this guy was a little gun shy, I'll be honest with you. Obviously, he was pretty dang close to fixing it, but didn't want to pull the trigger on it because the last time he went to a shop, it cost him a whole bunch of money with a bunch of guesses, so I guess I'll give him a big attaboy for coming here first. I guess that's kind of a first for us too. The majority of what we fix has already been through the ringer. By the time we get it, it's usually a big fat mess, as you often know. At least that's what we portray on our videos. Is that the truth? Who knows? We could be living one big lie. I ain't got time for that nonsense. I think people go other places probably because other places can get them in sooner. That would be my guess. That would be my guess. We don't have a very big shop, and I don't hire anybody, just me and Josh, so it makes it so we're not very accommodating in emergency type situations. I mean, obviously if somebody was traveling from out of town and they were broke down, you know, I'll do what I can to get them going again, but unfortunately people call each day and we're just not able to accommodate them on the spot. And most people can wait for, you know, whatever it is they need, but there are certain situations where, like, you need to have immediate help, and sometimes I'm just not able to, and that's just how life is. And I know I try to put myself in their position, and I know that it can be frustrating, but I don't know if it's just our area or what the deal is, but the majority of folks here have more than one car. Even if they have a couple crappy cars, at least, you know, they typically most people have more than one car, so usually arranging rides and stuff isn't a big deal for most. I have some customers that it is their only means of transportation. This is a great way to end a day right here. I always like this when I mentioned about this on domestic vehicles. I do like doing these on domestic vehicles because it's inevitable. The hole will be here, the fuel pump will be here. They just don't quite get it. Close. They always get really close. All right, well, before we crank that thing down, let's go like that. Let's get that little guy in there. Let's bust out the new retainer. I wonder if that's supposed to go in first or something. Nope, last. And let's just see. Let's not plug it up all the way. Oh crap, I was gonna say, let's not plug it up all the way, just plug it up. We need to fix that a little bit. Oh my gosh, stand by, here we go. Ready? Contact. Oh yeah. Running like a boss. Wow, I kind of feel bad. The guy actually could have guessed. He actually did guess, and he guessed correctly, but he just didn't commit. Oh well. The good news is we had the parts in stock. Or he had the parts in stock, and he actually had the right part. And this is really good. I'm glad. And this ends the mystery. We still do not know why the car died the first time. You guys will have to go back and watch that video. Like I say, I'll put a link to that video. I may have to watch it to remind myself. I did not look at the customer notes to see what I had noted. I'm just trying to pull it out of memory. I remember there was a lot of stuff that was all frigged up. That's all I remember. And it was stuff that was all frigged up in an effort to make the car run. And then all we did is remove it all. We got rid of all the cobble job and all that stuff in an effort to reproduce the original symptom. The original no start and battery going dead and all the problems he was having. And whatever that was just never reared its ugly head again. So that's kind of bizarro, man. I was really hoping this car would come back and tell us what was wrong, but never did. Never did. I'm just pushing these weather packs back down in there. I don't know why somebody had those all yanked out. So this whole car is a freaking mystery. Alright, I think those are all kind of pushed down where they need to be. Like I say, somebody cut that and soldered it. I don't know what the story is there. What's the dealio? That never gets old right there, I'll tell you that. And then this wire's been nicked, this one's been nicked, that one's been nicked. Nick, 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 nick. Reminds me of my childhood. Nickelodeon. I remember when we first got a satellite dish and got Nickelodeon. Okay, we're just gonna give it the old tape job and pretend we didn't see it and move on with our life. Whoa, what was that noise? Beautiful. Now, we got what we're dealing with here. Super 33. We'll just cover up these little pimples on there. Uh-oh. Looking like it's time for a new blade. Well, I feel like I could get a job at Best Buy putting in remote starters. The Super 33, if you're going to do a scumbag move like this, does work pretty well. Just it has really good adhesion, even if you get your fingerprints all over it. Yeah, it works pretty good, in my opinion. And then we go like this. Oops. Here comes the very lovely Mrs. O. There she is.
Hi.
What's up, baby?
Do you know anything about the bearings for that Sienna?
Do I know what about them?
Yep.
We don't have them? Uh-oh. I don't know anything about them, Vanessa.
Okay.
Okay, so there's that. So on the wires that just have the little pokes, the Super 33 actually works very nice. But when, when there's a big glob of solder on it, you do the best you can. So we'll go like that. Like I say, sometimes you just gotta pretend you never even saw it. We'll go like that. Wrap her up with a little tape. This is a pretty decent environment under here. Anyhow, I'm not super worried about things. If this was out at the wheel or exposed underneath the vehicle, we might do something a little different. Or at least we'll tell you that we are. All right, there's that. Kind of hold on to that little guy. Love doing that. I don't know why I just do. Well, this is kind of nonsense at this point, this thing is. I'm assuming the wires ran out the side. This was already peeled off when I brought it in. Yeah. There, I guess that's how that goes. That's how it goes, folks. So I'll make sure. Okay. That turned out really very nice. Get your rubber back through there. Oh, yeah, baby. Ah, I got this beautiful rubber sticky stuff here. There it is. And this is exactly how the car was delivered. And it is exactly how the car is going to leave. I don't know which way this went. This was already all ripped off. No idea. I'm going to imagine something like this because that's kind of how it's bent. Alright, well, I'll let that guy figure it out. Like I say, when a car comes in completely disassembled, it leaves completely disassembled. That's my rule. Because then you're never liable for the ever since you put my back seat in, or you did put this thing on, or did anything that I tore apart. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to be a jerk, folks. Just I've dealt with John Q. Public for a long time. Well, that's it, folks. Easy peasy. And he had the right part. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And, we fixed up them wires that were kind of exposed. Don't know what was going on there. Kind of a little bit sus, am I right? Can you use that word? And I don't mean to sound like an a-hole because I won't put a customer's car back together if they bring it in all tore apart. But dealing with the public for almost 30 years, you learn things and you commit them to your memory. And I don't mean to take all of John Q. Public and stick them all in the same box and, paint them all with the same brush, because we know that's not the case. But it's often the case. So we just leave it all alone in general and, let them deal with it. Unless it was specified and agreed upon in the beginning, like, hey, when you're done with that, do you mind putting everything back together? Which case, you do that on a case by case. This is a matter of putting the back seat back in it and getting the fuel pump lid glued back down and all that stuff. But like I say, you do it long enough working for the public, you learn. You learn things. Now I want to learn some things from you. The only way I can do that is if you go in that comment section. Follow us on the Insta, the Facebook. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.